Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
We're riding through Gotham with the podcast crew. That's in us up, yeah, we're on the move. Talking Batman tales, we're telling what's true. Gotham Knights breaking down each clue. TBOF, bring the heat. Talking Batman ain't that sweet. Tune in for the crime and lore. Batman nation, we want more. Laugh, the Bane's mighty roar, Arkham secrets and so much more. Dive into shadows, legends reborn through the darkest night. The baddest swarm, TBOF, bringing the heat. Talking Batman ain't that sweet. Tune in for the crime and lore. Batman nation, we want more.
The Adventures of Batman. Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman.
Welcome to episode 60 of Batmanimation, a Batman on Film podcast exploring the animated adventures of the Caped Crusader. I'm your host, senior BOF contributor Ryan Lauer, and joining me today, not one, two guests, fellow senior contributor for Batman-on-film.com, Javi Trujillo. Javi, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Did you eat all the Count Chocula and the Indiana and Illinois area?
Funny you mentioned that. I still have about half a box of Count Chocula that I will be diving into after we're done recording today. Not a lie.
Nice.
Yeah, and also
Just
joining
the
us
season.
is the yes, of course, the gumbo guru himself. I don't think he could handle a massive bowl of Count Chocula. It's Bill Jet Ramey. Bill, how are you?
Today, no, but as a kid, I had that.
Yeah.
I was fascinated with, I've told the story that I was a fan of the Universal monster movies, the old school ones back in the day. And so this was kind of an extension of that, I had to be 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, when that stuff came out. And yeah, I just thought it was cool. Frankenberry, Boo Berry, all that. Count
Chocula, Yummy Mummy, Fruit Brute. What was your go-to?
I think when they first came out, it was like Boo Berry, Count Chocula, and Frankenberry.
Yeah.
Boo Berry was one, right?
The original. Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I still have half a box over there on the counter too.
Okay.
Maybe I'll mix and match. I don't know.
That trips me out. But it's been a minute since I've had any of that. Yes.
Well, let's be fair to everyone. Javi, what's your go-to of the main three?
Count Chocula for sure.
Count Chocula.
That's the one
okay.
my dad would always get, and then he wouldn't let us have any. We had to ask special permission to dive into his box.
Well,
so now that I'm an adult, I can get as much as I want. So there,
you can do that to your children, and then you're rewarded at the end with chocolate milk. So it's kind of a nice little bonus. But I can't pick a favorite of the three. And this is our way to announce that coming soon to BOF is the BOF cereal podcast. So
yeah,
stay tuned
for
that.
Yes. Yeah.
As Boys to Men put it so well in the 90s, here we are at the end of the road for Batman Caped Crusader, but construction is underway to extend that road because season 2, as we know, is coming. But this here that we're talking about today, finally, is the season 1 finale, Savage Night. This episode, like all others, of course, was dropped on Amazon Prime on August 1st. It was written by Ed Brubaker, who's written 2 previous episodes on this. Kiss of the Catwoman, episode 3, and then episode 4, Night of the Hunters. It was directed by Christina Sada, who did 3 other episodes. She did the the first episode in Treacherous Waters, Night of the Hunters, and then Moving Target, which is episode number 7. Out the gate here, we're gonna try and progress through this instead of just jumping all around. Let's start with you, Bill. I know the answer, but just for for pure fairness, for anyone who doesn't know, did you watch this immediately after episode 9?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finished
Javi,
it
how
out.
about you?
I mean, how could you not? It was right there. They all came out at the same time, and once you get to episode 9, it's like, what's another 24 minutes? Like, you got to finish it.
Absolutely, because I think definitely by more so than any other episodes in these 10 first season, this makes me think of the animated series like a two-parter. No pun intended. Yeah. It just definitely feels like if you watch 9, you're gonna jump right into 10. 10 years from now, a year from now, whenever. It's just they're pretty much connected.
Mm-hmm. Probably more connected. So than any of the previous.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, I would say that last run with, once with Harvey getting scarred from that point on through the end there, that's kind of a lot of connection there.
Well, like how they had those old like VHS or DVD sets where it would focus on a character. Like you could easily do like a 3-episode DVD of the Harley arc and like a 3-episode Two-Face arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and include the very last scene from episode 8, of when the scarring happens. This episode specifically, it's like, yes, it's the focus is Harvey Dent. I almost feel like this is Barbara Gordon's strongest episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, Bill, you and I talked on here for the last episode, and I think all three of us actually throughout talking about this series have complimented this take of Barbara Gordon. And I feel like if nobody's sold on this version of the character up to this point, I think this episode really does it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very well-rounded character, a good character, one that you root for, and that is just, I think, purely good. And how she doesn't give up Harvey Dent, who we see in that front half is like this, constant pain in the ass for her. And she's always on the opposite side in the courtroom with. Yeah. And yet she's the one that comes to his defense.
They're complete opposites. See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did.
The same coin. I mean, she's a public defender. He's a district attorney. They both work for the government, but on different sides, So
yeah,
absolutely. There's a lot of conflict with them. And you're right. When you said describe Harvey as just a pain in their ass. And we've talked about him. It's like, he's a bit of an ass, but you kind of don't like him. And then I think toward the end, there's a flip flop, or a change. We start to see, you see his true character. When he basically, he goes ahead and takes that guy to court, takes the case to court that he was supposed to drop for Rupert Thorne, and you go, okay, he's good after all. It was in there,
Yeah. And I think a strong point. Go ahead, Avi.
I was gonna say, I think with this version of Barbara, like, she's so much stronger than what we've seen, like, for the pre-Oracle Barbara Gordon. Like, just her being a librarian, she was kind of off in her corner and seemed mousy, but by having her be the public defender, like, that has her have different interactions with some of the main cast that we wouldn't get otherwise. And we had that episode where, they were trying to assassinate her, we find out. And it kind of rattled her convictions a little bit, because she's always been standing up for other people. But here we see them back in full force, which I think is really key to her character arc, because as she explicitly states in the episode, like, she doesn't like Harvey at all. But here she is trying to give him a fair shake and like doing everything she can to keep him alive and to get him to testify, and not just like she's not there to throw him away in jail. She's there to get him legit help. And even though he doesn't want it because he feels he deserves it, like she still has this empathy for him. And I like that you can see how she would be in this job because of her father, but like she doesn't necessarily see eye to eye with her father on everything either. So she feels like over the span of this 10 episodes, she feels very fully realized as a character, which isn't something like you would get in like Batman the Animated Series.
And she's on the other side. She's on the other side of her father too, as well. He's on the law enforcement side, just like Dent. She defends the people he puts in jail. So yeah, we've seen that conflict throughout. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
Nope, it's all good. She is also, I think, the first one to flat out accept like Batman can be an ally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's via this episode. And I found it kind of, and this is because it's all connected. And I wasn't trying to do this, but it's just like there was a little bit to me of like, and we find that Batman and lawyer Harvey Dent in year one are secretly working together before Batman and Gordon. And then here it's like, oh, okay, we've got Batman and lawyer Gordon working together before Batman and police officer Gordon working together. And it's that's a little like looking for it, I think, but it was just something that connected that I thought about. And I like that because it's not like too long of them secretly working together in all these scenes, but it's like it totally fits given like the table setting they've done up to this point. And then I do enjoy where it leads to, I think Barbara starts, but then you get to see these other allies kind of, work together with Batman at the end, which we'll get there. You guys talked about, or you've already mentioned something with Harvey. I think this is Diedrich Bader's best.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Performance as Harvey. I think it asks the most of him in this episode, and I thought he was fantastic in continuing to not just, perform Batman Brave and the Bold voice work and constantly going to the sympathetic / woe is me Harvey Dent to quickly flip into Two-Face Harvey and then flipping back to, poor woe is me Harvey Dent throughout the episode. And I thought that was stellar work from him.
It was. He was good throughout. Well, this is spoilers. We'll wait to the end. You said we're to go in chronological order, so
what?
Try to stay that way.
To hell with it. Let's get crazy. Spoil it, Bill. What happens?
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
I think that I found myself at the end, rooting for Harvey to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Make it. Get through this. And it was kind of I was a little bit sad,
It was a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. And but he died a hero.
He did.
I don't know if he lived long enough to become complete villain. But he did die.
I mean, that's an arguable point because what were his crimes?
Yeah.
As Two-Face.
He killed other gangsters.
Yeah, he took out bad guys.
Yeah.
So
in which we don't know
Punisher.
We don't know fully that all of them committed murder, but we sure as hell know that they're bad guys. So how bad is Harvey? How bad was Two-Face?
Unless that dude he lit on fire, like no one called the fire department and someone died in that building. Like, other than that, like he was only targeting Thorne's men. So
and that strengthens
or that mugger, yeah.
It strengthens Barbara's motivation that like not all is lost with him. And something that I thought was really good throughout the episode that they did was when Harvey's talking to her and you could, and you know, when that switch flips and then he gets aggressive toward her and you could tell Two-Face comes to the front and how you see at, you know, you see her, it catches her off guard there at the beginning, but then when he does it throughout the episode, it's like she stands a little more firm, to which then at the end there at the docks when he does it, you know, and it shows her and she doesn't bat an eye. She doesn't get tense or anything. She just stands firm up against it. And I don't know, like I think they're the way Brubaker, I think, wrote this episode, and then of course how they drew it, created it, whatever. I thought that that was very strong and believable, their relationship in the episode,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then and why Barbara is trying so hard to uh save Harvey in a sense,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's some DNA shared between the Harvey to becoming Two-Face, and his fate with the Dark Knight and Batman Cape
Mhm.
Crusader.
Mhm.
Whereas specifically, it's this Two-Face was never going to become a mob boss.
Yeah.
That's not what this Harvey was about, and that's not what this Two-Face was destined to be in either case.
Mhm.
You know, I think with Cape Crusader, Harvey was redeemed at the end.
I do too.
Not so much in the Dark Knight, to where,
Yeah.
you know, Batman and Gordon had to conspire to keep the truth a secret, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, he was willing to kill James Gordon's son if fate / flip of the coin deemed it that way.
Mhm.
This Harvey and Cape Crusader, I don't think he was that far gone.
So they closed the chapter on Harvey Dent / Toothface. You can't close the book any harder than they did on him at the end of this episode.
Well, he said, and he says,
Harvey,
well, not to mention, I mean, we talk about him dying. Well, he saved Barbara, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like Harvey. Were you? It's not to say happy, but did you feel them closing the book on Harvey Dent Two-Face at the end of this episode? Do you think that that was justified, or did you feel not shortchanged, but a little bummed because you're like, I want more Tooth. That means there's no more Two-Face.
There's a small part of me that's bummed because I liked what Diedrich Bader brought to the character.
Yeah.
But I think we've been kind of conditioned over the years now to expect these kind of continuity changes, for lack of a better term, like from what we're used to in the main comic book line. So when you see them adapted into other media and they perish, like it's not a foreign thing anymore. Like we've already seen Two-Face die in Batman Forever. We saw him, like Bill mentioned, in The Dark Knight. So having him, die in this didn't really throw me because it feels like he was such a presence in this season. Like I don't feel like we got shortchanged on the Cape Crusader version of Harvey Dent. Like we got to see this big character arc for him, and outside of the Two-Face Part 1 and 2 of Batman the Animated Series, just to draw like a more similar comparison, I can't really think of any Two-Face stories from the show other than the one where he was kind of responsible for the death of Tim Drake's dad and causing him to be, Robin. Like, of all the Two-Face appearances, of which there's several, like I can't tell you a memorable Two-Face story from that show. And I'm sure there's someone who's going to be like typing in the comments, like, how could you forget this episode?
I'm actually sending him an email right now. It's angry,
but
but that's fine.
But like nothing from that show like stuck in my mind like this has. So yeah, I'm okay with him going because I think like it feels like we had a good helping of Two-Face and we can focus on other villains which may have been teased at the end of the episode.
I do enjoy comic book stories, that where Two-Face went total, playing on the two puns, and
Yeah.
committing crimes with that, and it's total comic book you feel. But I can also understand too of where do you go with him if he doesn't die at the end of this episode? It's similar. It's like Bill just said with the Dark Knight and where Harvey was. What do you did? Would we expect the next Nolan Batman movie for Aaron Eckhart to be like heads or tails? I'm gonna steal this
It's
black statue or
yeah.
this white statue. It's gonna be at
It's the second
1122
Tuesday
Drive.
and
Like that, it
yeah.
doesn't fit the story that they're telling.
That's the DNA of well, I brought that up twice today. DNA of the gimmicky version of Two-Face, which was his original incarnation. I mean, all of them were to a certain degree, gimmicky, almost Dick Tracy type of over the top characters that had some sort of gimmick,
which can be fun if that's the story in the world that they're in, the story they're telling.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the Batman universe, the Penguin and stuff, that gimmicky Two-Face I think right now all three of us can sense like that's not the version for the Batman universe. It's just not. So I don't ever expect if and when Two-Face to show up for him to be Mr. Gimmicky, because it's like it just doesn't fit. That doesn't mean that I don't like it or anything. It's like it just doesn't fit. It's not the version they're going to use.
I don't think we'll hear Pattinson say Two-Face second anniversary. There I captured him, second Bacon Gotham, that kind of stuff. But
Harvey, I'm of two minds. Get it, Harvey?
Yeah. It's
Bruce.
Sometimes, as I say, other Batman mediums can improve characters. I thought the Bane, what Nolan did with Bane and Dark Knight Rises was way more appealing to me than the wrestling suit Bane Venom that we got, back in his creation in the early 90s. And, I think Nolan did a lot as well with the Harvey Dent Two-Face character, It's not just, he doesn't just become this gimmicky mob boss who everything is based on twos, all of his crimes, two and second and duel and all Janice and all that stuff. So anyway, that's just some subjective commentary thrown in there.
If you want to see that flavor of Two-Face, you can go to your comic shop right now and buy Batman and Robin Year One Issue 1 by Mark Waid and Chris Samney. So you have that version still available. It doesn't close the book.
Oh yeah.
Just because they ended out Two-Face's run, like there's another medium where you can get that kind of story if that's your jam. And you can go to batmanonfilm.com and read my review. Plug.
The last part about Harvey, and then we'll move on real quick, is a point that I wanted to bring out where Barbara is asking at the beginning, or she's like, basically saying like, Harvey, you got to help me like to try and get a defense. And she's saying, basically saying like, where the bodies are and the corruption, in Gotham with politicians and stuff. And she's like, you can speak on that. And Harvey said, admitting I knew about it and I did nothing. So did you guys find, because as you can see when he starts to go down in each time he starts to go down that almost like woe is me, poor me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's when you see that eyebrow pick up, and then he flips the switch and then he turns it on, which is short-lived. How'd you find Harvey going down that path? Did you feel that as some sort of self-admittance of of his wrongdoing, or were you almost feeling he's like, oh, he's feeling sorry for himself, boo-hoo,
he was he was having difficulty within himself coming to terms with everything. So then you get this internal battle that spills out, with the Two-Face. I'm doing air quotes, the Two-Face persona, like I should have stabbed that guy. It's kind of, like stuff he said with Bruce when they were having dinner and whatnot.
Yeah. What did you think, Javi?
I kind of think he was feeling sorry for himself to a degree, because the Harvey we knew before the accident was very ambitious. So he was playing that political game, trying to gain his own power in Gotham to become mayor. But he's also really smart. So he would know, as the district attorney, like, just because he knows of corruption, it's one thing to be like, oh, Mayor so and so is on the take. You can't, even in the position that he can't just say stuff like that and have it go away. He would have to gather evidence and mount and all the normal trial stuff, all the stuff we use to convict someone. Like, there's knowing someone's corrupt, and then there's being able to prove it in court and take care of it. And that's kind of like why some of Batman villains, like, they stay around, like the Penguin. Like, he knows he's operating stuff, but if he doesn't have the evidence to put him away, then what good is it? And so I think in that moment, like, he's just kind of almost a little bit of a pity party for himself and where he is, and he's just trying to punish himself for what he's done. And that's where that's coming from.
So for me, I thought the last issue, it's almost like, I don't know if you'd say neurological, but reflecting on something, and then you do reach a point where then I think you have it lights a spark and it starts some sort of reaction. And so last issue, I think it was him almost going down, this path of reflection, and then something had happened and it triggered anger. And I think in this episode, it was less subtle, it was more blunt as he's going down that reflecting on and admitting that I knew and I did nothing. What kind of politician am I? And that's when it sparks of kind of like, and I did nothing, a reflection on himself. And then and it quickly turned like into anger. And I just thought that was I thought it was, excuse me, a very fitting. I'm not going to say it's nothing that we've seen before with the characterization of Two-Face, but I thought it was a good version, a good way to do him flipping into Two-Face. And then kind of coming back really quick too. It's not like it overstayed its welcome. And it was coming as like a really quick to get us a little unsettled, caught off guard. And I thought that all of that was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me move on.
We almost saw that with Bruce too. When Bruce visits
that
Harvey
was
at Arkham.
Something I wanted to ask. I wanted to pick your guys' brain on why do you think Bruce did a really quick slip into, a snap at Harvey? It was very blunt. I'm not going to say it wasn't true what he said, but we haven't seen Bruce do that in this episode or in this series yet.
I feel like this Batman, if you want to compare him to any other version, like, he's so from that Pattinson mold, where right now his worldview is so black and white, and doesn't allow for a lot of grays. So, like, we saw him like accuse or jump to conclusions all the time in the Batman, and then he would learn through like Selena that there's more to the world and there's different shades of things of why people would do things. And I feel like this Batman's on a similar journey, and we see it at the end too, but we'll save that for then. But I feel like Harvey was never really a friend. He was the mask of a friend for Bruce Wayne. And so he doesn't have any tolerance right now for the kind of things Harvey's been doing. And throughout the episode, like, he learns that lesson. And when he sees the fall of Two-Face, and because he kind of played a part in it by egging him on, by trying to get information out of them and provoke certain reactions. And I think that's part of Batman's arc in this, is to maybe be a little bit more empathetic to others.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
I think he is, in his own way, coming to terms with the fact that, you know what, I had something to do with Harvey going down this spiral. As I said, I don't think he took him to dinner to cheer him up. I think Batman took Harvey to dinner to get information.
Yeah.
And as we see in this episode as well, we start to see Bruce / Batman start to change a little bit as well, which we can get into eventually. I'm sure you got that. I think
we're gonna we'll put a pin in that, because I think that's worthy of like the main event discussion.
Yeah. And it's I think he's still doing his Batman thing, but he's also saying, come on, Harvey, come on, And
that's kind of how I took it too, is like that was actually the public friendly Bruce Wayne facade was shattered there for just a brief moment of almost like Bruce was 100%. To me, I took it of, especially upon this viewing, because as I've been saying, I binged all of them day one, and then I've just slowly watched each episode upon Batmanimations. And I think here in watching it this time, I felt like the facade went away, and it was 100% the real Bruce Wayne that was almost like snap out of it, sort of reaction,
Yes.
which I think everyone has. They just try to not do that because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. They don't want to be seen as being a dick or an asshole or something, so they withhold it. And sometimes with some breaking points, I think it can pop up. Now we'll put a pin in Bruce Wayne, because I want to talk about two supporting characters. One who's a real son of a bitch, and another one who might be a son of a bitch. The real son of a bitch is Flash.
Yeah.
Nothing changes in this episode to lead us to how we felt about him all along, but I think it definitely confirms it of, he's a son of a bitch, right?
Yeah.
Because he is through and through a real piece of work, this Flash guy. And ultimately, he's the one who kills Harvey Dent. More interesting to me, because I don't know that there's much more to add about Flash. I think the more interesting conversation is his partner Bullock. Right out front and center after this episode, Bill, I distinctly remember you and I saying that there's hope for Bullock to come around. Do you think he's redeemable still after this episode?
I don't know. I'm of two minds.
Oh, come on. Bill's flipping a coin right now.
Yeah, I am. Every time I think that he does something to make me think he's not. And I know I'm not trying to take an easy way out here. I don't know. But I will say there's something more to Bullock than Flash. Where Flash, as you said, he's a straight up corrupt, not good guy, asshole, and probably always has been, and definitely always will be.
Yep.
Harvey Bullock, not Dent.
Yeah.
Bullock, I go back and forth still. And maybe that's what we're supposed to be doing. Maybe that's the
I mean, if you look at like the comic book origins of the character, he did start off corrupt. He was with Mayor Hill trying to take down Commissioner Gordon, and was doing everything he could to annoy and frustrate and steal the limelight. And he's always been a complex character that you kind of come around on at some point. And I think you still can with this version, even though he's killed Firebug and he was going to kill Two-Face.
Did he kill Firebug?
Yeah, you shot him and then he fell out, right?
We didn't see him shoot him.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But I think, with the conversation in the car where Two-Face was kind of egging him on, like thinking, "Oh, I thought you were the smart one," but really it's been Flash the whole time.
Yeah.
And just Flash calling him Sloppy Joe. And I think maybe if they wanted to go that route where he's starting to think about what his situation really is, I think he could, it's possible he could come to grips with it and try and have a shot at redemption and, turning on Thorn and siding with Gordon. If that's where they want to go, I think they can make it happen. Flash is just hot trash.
I'm stuck. I'm caught in the middle because I really did enjoy how Harvey manipulated them in the car.
Yeah.
In saying that like the Harvey or that Bullock has to do all the dirty work and Flash is the one who gets angry and reacts. I think motivated purely not as a, hey, that's my buddy, don't be mean to him. More so instead of shut up or else Bullock's gonna figure it out. We don't see, as I'm playing it back in my head, we don't see any really bad things from Bullock directly. We see shady actions, but I don't think we don't see anything purely like bad from Bullock, which leads me to he is redeemable, but they just keep writing him to where that hole is getting deeper for him.
I think that you brought up a good point. I think we don't see him kill Firefly, Firebug, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
That's right.
I think that's intentional.
I do too.
Yeah.
Because I think depending on, in the writer's room as they're coming up with these episodes for season 2 and what they want to do with some of these characters, they have that where it can play to whichever direction they want to go for Bullock, for Flash. Yeah. Where here, like, again, you know what? Gordon flat out catches Bullock on the docks here. And Bullock's taken, he's taken off the table. Flash, we see flat out shoot, kill Harvey, busted, gets punched in the face by Batman, target practice by Batman. Talk about that here in a second. We hear Thorn talk on the phone at the end too, of just kind of like tell them to keep their mouths shut. I feel like Flash, I know the Flash we know from year 1 totally sells out everybody that he can to save his own butt. I feel like that, like, man, I almost want to say I feel like that would be Bullock in the Caped Crusader universe, but I could see it like Flash in Caped Crusader is more of an a-hole that I could see him doing it too to try to save his own butt, and Bullock almost being more true to character in not saying anything. But that's what I mean. Like, I'm of two minds as well. They haven't pinned themselves in a corner to where it's more fun that way, that it's not predictable at all what's going to happen to these two.
No, I'm with you
in the next season.
With you.
Yeah. And that's fun for me. I like it.
Yeah.
I could totally see this Flash being fired from the GCPD and then being the bouncer to strip club, like in Dark Victory.
Yeah.
Because you haven't all the evil ideas from that partnership seem to come from Flash. And Bullock is just kind of like not a puppy dog, but he just seems to go along with his buddy, with his partner, because that's what partners do.
Real quick, I think the dock scene, which takes up a large chunk of the back half of this episode, may be the most Batmaning the whole season. Loved it. like completely through and through. Love the tension. Love Batman kicking ass, coming out of the fog, kicking ass, then back disappearing in the fog. And nothing is just repetitive of like he comes in, punch in the face, runs away. It's doing something different to take down because he even says, which it's a really brief, but when Gordon and Montoya look up and he's on that street light, totally Batman look, really cool. But he even says he's like, there's 15 men, 2 of them are yours, Flash and Bullock, and that means there's 13 guys that Batman's trying to take out. And he doesn't get all of them, but you know what I mean. Like they're heavily outnumbered, but it's a really cool scene. And at one point, we all knew he wasn't gonna. But what do you think was the point they're trying to get across with Batman when he picked up that gun and shot around Flash's head?
He was giving Flash a taste of his own medicine, fear,
Yeah.
Having a gun pointed at you, thinking you're going to get your head blown off. And Batman actually shoots, but it shoots around him. It was great. And then he throws he throws the son of a bitch away. A la Batman Begins, kind of, sort of.
That's right.
With Christian Bale throwing the gun. But I'm just showing how everything's connected.
Of course.
I feel like that moment was more for like a general audience to create some suspense and drama. But if you're like a longtime Batman reader, like we are, it's like, that he's not going to, or at least you firmly believe he's not going to. And it was more just for the general audience who may be checking this out on Amazon for the first time, being like, oh my God, Batman's got a gun. I heard he never uses it. And the thing that struck me about it, rewatching it for this recording, was like Batman just threw that gun away. Like that's evidence. Like you got ballistics there. That's the gun that killed Harvey Dent. And what if they can't pin his murder on Flash because they threw away the murder weapon? So, and that's like 40 plus years of reading Batman comics is making me think of that. But I similar to what Bill was saying, like I feel like that's part of the arc. Like Batman doesn't really verbalize what he's thinking. It's more by action. And that's just his frustration, because I think he felt the guilt of what happened to Harvey because he was pushing them and helped goad that into happening, some of that into happening. Like I feel like he takes some responsibility for that. And and we see him soften at the end in a very key scene.
Even as a Batman fan who knows and prefers, Batman doesn't execute. That's how I always put it. He's not execution. Yeah. I mean, he beats the shit out of people. Come on.
That's right.
Or
cut off their hands with an axe.
Yes. Tells them where the hospital is. And they better get there quickly. If either it's to the north or south, I'm not sure, but you better get there. There's a bit of in me when he picked it up. I'm thinking, I didn't think he would shoot him, but I thought, is he contemplating shooting him? This is still an early Batman. So there's a little bit of this, a little bit. But then once it happened, where he intentionally shoots around him, then I went, he did that. He didn't miss. He missed. He shot around him on purpose. That's and
I totally agree with you on the fear aspect.
Yeah.
And to go further with that, like the immature mind in me read that or watched that, and it was like Batman looked at Flash and said, "Don't F with me, bitch," and then busted him right in the face to knock him out. And I'm like, that's that.
Yeah.
Yes, Batman. Because Flash is gonna piss himself, I think, here on out when he sees Batman.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that wimp Flash from year one in GCPD. I think we're gonna see that when it comes to Batman, if we see Flash in season 2.
I think throwing the gun was just to represent his disdain for the weapon. And that's also why the Gotham City has divers. They can go and locate the gun. Yeah. So.
Never good.
Yeah.
Bill, we're going to you first on this one. At the end, Alfred gives a great speech, and he says, because basically, and Batman does it in a way that's not, poor me, woe is me. He's just kind of saying, like, he's opening up a little bit to Pennyworth in this part, and Alfred says, it's almost like comparison of like Harvey and Batman, and Alfred says, that Harvey, he lost sight at his own humanity. That isn't you, and said you've even made friends in your own way. Batman says a really good line that says, like that, agreeing with a point that Harvey made of there's four of us versus an endless tide. Dent was right. Those are terrible odds, but I'll take them. And I'm like, that feels like a classic Batman line. And then he says, thank you, Penny. Alfred. Thanks, Alfred. And gets in the Batmobile. Alfred smiles. Bill, why don't you like that scene?
Oh, it's probably my favorite scene of the entire series of season 1. It brings me to the Batman. There's some this Bruce Wayne and the Bruce Wayne and Batman of the Batman and Cape Crusader. They're cousins in a way. You know what I mean? And this is the first. I don't want to say Batman is breaking. He's not ever going to break, but he's allowing for his humanity to come out. He does care. He cares about Alfred, even though for the last 15 plus years, he is built this wall up, pushed Alfred away, only calls him Pennyworth, is short with him, never shows any sort of emotion or feeling toward him. And he does here. I loved it. Thought it was great. And it's a glimpse of this Batman is evolving. Bruce Wayne is evolving. And I did like you even met friends in your own way. I mean, to me, I don't want to speak for you two guys, but he's talking about Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon, certainly talking about them.
Javi, how did that, if you can remember when you first watched it, how'd that moment hit you? What'd you think?
I feel like it was that transition of Alfred from being an employee to being a family member. Like Bill was saying, like that, the 15 years that had passed since his parents died, like it all came down to that moment where he was able to relax and let someone in again. Because even when in what episode was it? Was it episode 5 or 4? Where he woke Alfred up. Maybe it was episode 3. When he woke Alfred up and he's like, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you're going to help me.
They're going to pay. They're all going to pay.
Yeah.
And you're going to help me. And that's, Alfred is just in shocked, combination of shock and terror at the same time. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's, that he's not telling his dad that or his foster dad that. That's, you're being paid. My parents have paid you and you're going to do what I say.
Yeah.
Which, that's key to calling him Pennyworth and keeping that emotional distance. And now it's Alfred. Now he's let him in. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about for season 2 is to see how that relationship flourishes, especially because we don't have it in either the absolute universe or the main universe right now in the comics. So,
I like Alfred is. Go ahead.
I was going to say Alfred's key to me, and I think to many Batman fans, Alfred is key. Yeah. I think general audience people, if you were to say there's no Alfred, it would be like, where's Alfred? Why? Yeah. They work together, and so letting the story unfold, seeing how cold Bruce and Batman, I think more so Batman for sure, uh, in the earlier episodes to Alfred, to Pennyworth, is telling. And as you see the story unfold, that is a good, that is a really good moment there at the end. And I agree with both of you on what I think it means and what I connected it to. And it makes me excited for like, that's one angle of season 2 that I'm excited of. Like, here's another ally that's directly connected to Batman, who is in the Batcave with him, working more as an ally as opposed to an employee, like you said, Javi.
It's
so I think that's gonna be cool.
It's different, completely 180 from when Alfred is giving him advice before and talking to him in the Batcave, and he just stands there and he goes, "This coffee's cold," you know.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You're fired.
It's basically, shut up, you know.
Yeah, shut your damn mouth. Man. Let's see. And I'm trying to, because after that is a really quick check-in with Thorn. Great batarang. A bat bursts through the window. Batarang. And cool, great shot. Obviously, I think anybody that's watched will think similar things to the cool shot in the animated series, but it's just an overall awesome Batman shot.
Yeah.
That I think is awesome for Thorn to piss himself.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people pissing themselves. A lot of bad guys pissing themselves with Batman standing there of just like, okay, cool. This is going to get ramped up for season 2. And then that's before we even see the epilogue. But go ahead, Javi. What were you going to say?
I was saying, just like what a great arm Batman has, you know?
It's pretty good.
Like we know he doesn't skip leg day, but like he's really far away from Thorn. Like really far away. And to throw that batarang with such precision across like a square mile, that was impressive. Like good on you, Bruce.
That's
he's
my
Batman.
go-to. It's Batman.
Yeah.
That's how
he's Batman.
He's been practicing a lot in the cave.
It'd be surprising if he didn't do it. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely a nod to Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not there just for that. It's like the purpose is Batman is showing Thorn, I'm coming for your ass.
Yeah. It's purposeful. It's not just for like here's some fan service.
Yes, it's exactly. It's not fan. It is in a way, you know. And I don't mind homages if they have a purpose. This one does, and it's, you know, just even the look on Thorn's face.
Well, because he thought he got away with everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he's very content, and you know, thanking his guys for taking the fall, and you know,
It's I mean, like I said, it's Batman saying, I am here and I am coming for your ass.
Yep.
And it was great. Great way to end season 1.
Yep.
But we have an epilogue.
Then it wasn't done.
Yeah.
Because then we get a creepy little build up and we hear laughter. And I think we all knew what that means.
Yeah.
It wasn't some, I mean, I guess we don't know. I was going to say, it's not some new character called, you know, the Giggle Machine or anything, but maybe he is. But we see in a really well done way, effective way, that I think is a great tease in it's going to be the Joker. Yep, it's the Joker. And nothing about it says it's going to be an animated Joker like we've seen before. And before anybody thinks I'm like being, you know, I'm being over dramatic, it's Mark Hamill Joker. Love Mark Hamill Joker. He was funny and fun. The Batman Joker was wild but more kid version. There's been some animated film Jokers. But like a sense of fun around him, except for I guess maybe the Dark Knight Returns Joker I didn't think was that fun. The vibe that this short little epilogue got across was, and I hope it sticks through it too, is this is going to be a scary AF Joker for season 2. And I'm all for it. Give me that.
Batman #1 Joker. We've seen so many homages to Golden Age Batman takes, like with Clayface. So I feel like I'm hoping that we'll get like a Batman #1 Joker like we saw in the recent Brave and the Bold comic where they went back and revisited the winning
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily wacky or fun, but just deadly serious. Maybe one would say Ledger-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's what I hope besides all that, I agree, is that I don't want an origin story. I don't know what I don't want to know if he was Red Hood. I don't want to know if he was dropped in a vat of acid. I don't want to know if Batman had anything to do with it. He exists already. So let's just go. Let's ride. You know what I'm saying?
Let's ride.
Yeah.
Let's ride.
Let's go.
Let's ride.
And let everything else be a mystery about him.
Yeah. Would you maybe unfair question. Would you like a season arc with Joker or just almost more standalone episode?
Oh. It's the Joker. Maybe he's something. Well, we know Batman has the Thorn thing to take care of, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't have Gordon and Barbara in some version, some way. I mean, they're getting to be allies, so we'll see how that evolves in season 2. Maybe the Joker is someone kind of like the Harvey character who was kind of always there.
A through line.
And then there's a big finale at the end of season 2 that's Batman versus Joker straight up over a couple episodes. Am I making sense there? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I'm feeling like the same way of it doesn't have to be purely only focused on Joker, but he can have a through line through the whole season. Like he's just this little, how it begins with the Dark Knight and Batman even says one man or the entire mob, he can wait. What if it's that sort of deal? Joker, things are happening kind of in the background while Batman's pursuing Thorn and the ties, and Joker just keeps, bursting through or something. Javi, what do you think?
I think like that season-long arc would be a good way to handle it, where not every issue, every episode is Joker centric or Joker focused. Like you just do it like you did with this season, where he's just peppered through. And I like that idea. I like that idea of having like episode 10 be the big face off, like the climactic showdown. And I mean, we'll see. I think there's a lot of room for them to grow, and maybe we don't get them right away. Maybe they wait like 5 episodes before we see them, and there's just little stuff peppered in of like, well, here's like this guy that's dead with a smile.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Let me ask you both this question, then we can scoot on out of here. What was your favorite part of this episode?
Oh, I mean,
Javi first.
Like what Bill said, the whole Pennyworth Alfred moment is not only my favorite moment from this episode, but I think the whole show, because it felt like we were building towards that the whole year. So that payoff was chef's kiss.
Yeah. What about you, Bill?
I've already said it. It's
okay.
It's pretty much the, thank you, Pennyworth. Alfred. Thank you, Alfred. I like that. That was great. And that's because it hits you in the Batman feels,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Batman to be
they're friends again.
Yeah, I don't need Batman to be, super Mr. Emotional,
Yeah.
But certainly I enjoy I want him to care about Alfred, you want him to have some humanity. He's not the Punisher. He's not, he's not just this robot. So, because that's what makes Batman great, is that he's a human. He's humanity. So there you go.
For me, it's the doc scene in its entirety. Just loved it. Batmaning, other good moments from other characters to when we're not watching Batmaning. Yeah, I think just beginning to end, them on the docks. Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. That's it on Cape Crusader. Who knows when we're going to talk about that again?
We're not going to talk about the second epilogue when Gordon goes, he gave us a signal, and he flips the switch, and they're now we got the bat signal, and then Bruce goes back, and there's a red bat phone in the bat cave. Come on. Yeah.
He says, thanks for saving the day again, Batman.
Yeah.
Well, see, I didn't see that because there was an ad break, so I thought it was over.
Oh,
I just
Javi,
stepped out.
stick through to the end always. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's it on Cape Crusader for now. It's gonna be a while. I'm glad we not drug this out, but took our time in covering it because it's still, I mean, it's only been 2.5 months that it's been out. So I don't know how long we're gonna wait to get 10 more episodes. But I'll be there. I'll do another binge day if the release is just like it was this time.
Yeah.
Season letter grade, season overall. Bill.
Hey.
Javi.
Hey, I don't know if it's like the best animated Batman show we've ever gotten. It's a little too new to like rank it. But I mean, it was definitely quality from start to finish. I think every episode, maybe -1 is great. You know, I'd say 8 or 9 of them are great. And then maybe 1 or 2 are just good. But if your worst episode is good, like it's pretty solid in my opinion.
I think I'd go with an A-. And there we go. So let's do some quick plugins. Bill's, yours might be the quickest because you're not up to anything these days. So plug away.
Batman-on-film.com. And check on Mondays. We are talking the Penguin on the social hour. Everyone is welcome to join us. Well, not everyone, if you're listening. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going to have all these requests. I'm sure we'll see various team members of Team BOF. Team BO. I'm flustered. Team BOF people will show up. It's been me and Pete for the most part. It is because it's restricted to Monday. We got, we record, get it out there as quick as possible. But yeah, you talk about a series that's badass.
Listen,
I think it was pretty damn good.
If Sophia keeps dressing to the nines,
yeah,
he is gonna pass out and he won't be able to make a recording. So
we were gonna have.
So I think you got to have some backups.
That last one,
he kind of was.
Like, I thought, what's her name walked in the room?
My goodness,
the voice actress, Tara Strong. It was like Tara Strong again, all over again. Yeah,
Pete about melted.
He got the vapors.
Javi, plug away.
Oh man, I mean, you can definitely find me on batman-on-film.com reviewing. Oh, today, because it's Wednesday as of this recording, I had reviews for Catwoman 69, which is the first of the all-in issues, which was really good. And like I mentioned earlier, Batman and Robin Year One, issue 1 came out by Mark Waid. So if you've liked what he's been doing on World's Finest, like go pick up this book because it's a lot of fun. It's pretty awesome. And it's classic Batman. If you're missing that whole dynamic of Batman and Robin and Alfred and Gordon all in their traditional roles, then give this book a shot. I think you like it. And then elsewhere, doing some editing on the next episode for The Flash Up to Speed with Wally West. I launched a new 007 podcast, the 007 Files. And I'm on the Comic Binge. Chris Clow and I just covered the prose issue of The Clown That Dies at Midnight or something or other. It's the transition to more of the Morrisonian Joker. So we just did that on our Knights Never Die show, and we also talked Absolute Batman last week. So all over the interwebs.
For me, check out my podcast, The Batman Book Club, which Bill generously posts on Batman on Film. The most recent episode talked to the author, John Jackson Miller, of the new novel, Batman Resurrection. And check out batman-on-film.com because Bill has a written review of that book up on the site. So it's you can read his review. You can listen to my interview. Both of them are spoiler free. So you don't have to have read the book to be able to read the review or listen to the podcast. So check that stuff out. And then I have written reviews up on Batman on Film. So I think you should just go to batman-on-film.com. Easy enough.
There'll be lots of new stuff today.
Yeah, a lot going on. Let's ride.
Yeah.
Let's ride. All right, so for Bill and Javi, I'm Ryan. Let's let announcer Rachel take us out.
Thanks for listening to Batmanimation, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the animated TV and film adventures of the Caped Crusader. Follow Batmanimation on Twitter @Batmanimation. Follow BOF on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. Follow Jet on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. For Jet and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the original, established in 1998.